All right, what's happening, everybody? It's your man Akeem, and welcome to the Sports News Insider College Football Blog. After coming from a brilliant week in week one of college football, it's time for me to give you my week two predictions and key matchups to watch. Starting Friday, Arizona is going to be playing at Oklahoma State. Nick Foles, the Arizona quarterback, really needs to step up this season and be that true leader. In order for Arizona to be that good wild card for the Pac-12 championship, Nick Foles really needs to step up and be a great quarterback and make great decisions in the passing game. One thing that he does have though is receiver Jerron Kriener. It was a little bit of a scary moment though because Kriener wasn't eligible at first, but then he became back eligible just before week one of the season, and he is Nick Foles' top target. So they really need to make a great connection. But for this game, I'm gonna have to go with Oklahoma State. The Cowboys have so much weapons on offense. Joseph Randle ran for over 100 yards. Plus they have Justin Blackman, one of the top returning receivers in college football, and a good quarterback in Brandon Wheaton. So I'm gonna have to go with the Cowboys. Next game to watch on Friday, Missouri is going to be playing at Arizona State. This is going to be a good game. One player that you need to keep an eye on is Arizona State Vontaze Burfict. I have been mentioning him week after week, and he's a great linebacker. 3 sacks last week, and he's going to be all over the field. He's going to be James Franklin's worst nightmare in my opinion. Missouri, they ended up winning 17-6 against a decent Miami of Ohio team, but I think they're going to lose at Arizona, so I'm going to have to go with the Sun Devils. Next game to look at, Mississippi State is going to be playing at Auburn. Now, last week, Auburn struggled against Utah State, just barely winning the game with the fourth quarter comeback, 42-38, and they really gonna have to play a tough Mississippi State team. Mississippi State is one of my dark horses for the SEC conference, and they have a good running back in Vic Valor and a good improving quarterback in Chris Welch. I'm gonna have to go with the Bulldogs in this one because Auburn looks like they have been struggling thus far in the season, so I'm gonna have to go with the Bulldogs. Next game, Rutgers is going to be playing at North Carolina. Player that you need to look at is Savon Huggins, the running back. He had 2 touchdowns last week. He's the Rutgers running back. And for North Carolina side, pay attention to Brent Renner. He had 277 yards passing last week against James Madison, and he has a lot of weapons on offense. But for this game, I'm going to go with North Carolina. Because of Renner, he has been stepping up, replacing T.J. Yates from last season, and I think he's a good quarterback. So I'm going to have to go with North Carolina. Next game to watch, Oregon State is going to be playing at Wisconsin, and I need to mention this. Oregon State running back Malcolm Agnew had a great game last week against Sacramento State, in which Oregon State lost. He had 223 yards rushing and 3 scores. They're going to be playing a tough Wisconsin team led by quarterback Russell Wilson, my dark horse for this year's Heisman Trophy. Now, I'm going to have to go with Russell Wilson and the Badgers. They have just too many weapons, plus it's a home game and a better defense than Oregon State. Go with the Badgers in this game. Next game to watch, Stanford is going to be playing at Duke. Now this is going to be a pretty good aerial display in my opinion. They have both teams have 2 good quarterbacks. Duke, they have good quarterback Sean Renfree, and he has an outstanding receiving core with Connor Verner and Donovan Varner. They have a lot of good weapons at the receiving core, and Renfree is definitely going to keep an eye on both of these players. Now for the Cardinals, Andrew Luck, he's one of the front runners for this year's Heisman Trophy winner, and he's probably going to be the #1 overall selection in this upcoming season's NFL draft. But we will see, depending on the order of the draft. But I'm gonna have to go with the Cardinals in this game. Andrew Luck, I think he had 57 points in the first week, led the team to 57 points. Plus, Stanford's the #6 team in the nation. Definitely go with Andrew Luck and the Cardinals. Next game that you need to look at is a newcomer of the Pac-10. Colorado's going to be at home against California. One player in particular you need to look at is Zach Maynard. You might remember him because he's a transfer from Buffalo. He's now part of the California Golden Bears, and he's a decent quarterback, passed over 200 yards last week. I'm going to have to go with California in this one. A game that could be an upset alert, TCU is going to be playing at Air Force. Air Force is known for their triple option play on offense, and TCU had a big loss last week against Baylor, and they really need to bounce back. But for this game, even though it's still an upset alert because they are going to struggle against the Air Force triple option attack, I'm still going to go with TCU. I think Casey Paschal is going to have a good game leading the team to a good victory, so I'm going to have to go with TCU. Next game to watch, another upset alert and a very important matchup in the SEC Conference. South Carolina is going to be playing at Georgia. The reason why this game is so important is because of Georgia coach coach Mark Richt. Now he's in a hot seat, and he might be on the verge of getting fired if he loses this game. Georgia has not been winning over the past couple of seasons, and they have been struggling. And if he loses this game, he's definitely going to be in a chopping block for getting fired, and he really needs to win this game. For this game, though, I'm gonna have to go with South Carolina, only because they have more weapons offensively, and Georgia is still trying to improve on their offense. They have a new running back in Isaiah Crowell. They had to deal with some off the field issues, and they have a decent freshman running back in Crowell, but he still hasn't developed. He's still getting used to the college scene. So I'm gonna have to go with South Carolina in this one. Another matchup that you need to look at: BYU is going to be playing at number 24 Texas. I mentioned before, Texas has a new offensive coordinator, and Brian Harsin coming out of Boise State. Garrett Gilbert's looking a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more keen in the pocket. I really like Texas to win this game, so I'm gonna have to go with the Texas Longhorns. Next game to watch: Notre Dame's going to be playing at Michigan for the first night game in the rivalry history. This is going to be a great matchup. For this game, though, I'm gonna have to go with Michigan, only because they're playing at home, and Notre Dame is still trying to rebuild it, and it looked like they're starting off the season going off on the wrong foot, especially losing to South Florida in the first week. I think they're going to lose to Michigan in this week. Another key game to watch: Cincinnati is going to be playing in the SEC, at SEC's Tennessee. This is going to be a good game. Look for Zach Claris to lead the Bearcats to a victory. I'm going to have to go with Cincinnati in this one, only because I really believe that they have an underrated offense with Zach Claris leading the way, plus Isaiah P, and they have a decent receiver in Woods, and I think they have a good trio in the offensive side of the ball, so I'm gonna have to go with Cincinnati. Next game to watch: Hawaii is going to be playing at Washington. That's going to be a good game. I'm gonna have to go with the Warriors in this one, only because Washington has struggled against an FCS school in Eastern Washington. Yes, it's one of the top schools in the FCS division, but it's still FCS, and they struggled, barely winning 30-27. Plus, Hawaii came off from a big win against Colorado, 34-17 last week, and I'm gonna have to go with the Warriors in this game. Now, my upset pick of the week: I'm going to have to go with Utah over USC. USC struggled last week against Minnesota, and I think Jordan Wynn's going to pull a rabbit out of his hat and and lead the Utes to a victory. Plus, they have a good linebacker in Brian Bletchum. He had 7 tackles last season to go with 2 interceptions. He's going to be leading that defense. Plus, I'm not really sure about USC's offense because they still need to develop a running game, and they do have DJ Woods, but he's like their only playmaker on offense to go with Matt Barkley. So I'm going to have to go for my upset pick of the week: Utah, because it's their first game in the Pac-12 conference game opener against a good qualified number 25 USC team, and I'm gonna have to go with the Utes in this one to pull that upset. Now, the game of the week: number 3 Alabama is going to be coming into Happy Valley to play number 23 Penn State. Now, this is going to be an interesting matchup because both teams have been struggling with their quarterback position. I think Matt McGloin should start for Penn State, only because he's just a little bit of a better passer than Robert Bolden. And for Alabama, both quarterbacks A.J. McCarron and Phillip Sims threw interceptions last week, and they're still in a quarterback battle between the two. It's not good to play 2 quarterbacks for a team because it just changes up the tempo and the momentum of the offense. And I think McCarron's going to get the starting 9 for Alabama. I think Nick Saban is going to go with them. But for this game, I'm going to have to go with Alabama because they have a dominant defense led by Dante Hightower, their star middle linebacker. He's going to be all over the field. Plus, as I mentioned before, Alabama has probably the best secondary in the nation with Mendy, Barron, and Kirkpatrick. They have a great secondary, so you have to definitely keep an eye on the defense. I think the defense is going to help pull up the win at Happy Valley over the Penn State Nittany Lions. That's going to be a good game to watch. Now, I'm going to catch you guys on Tuesday to give you the recap of this week's games, and I'm going to give you my next week's prediction going on next week. But for Tuesday, I'm going to give you the recap of all these games. From Sports News Insider, thank you for watching today's vlog. I'm your man, Akeem McCall. Be easy.